What up? What up? What up? Welcome to our first episode of the Juco Hoops Insider with Brandon Goble from Juco Advocate and myself, Brian Burton. Good morning. What up, BG?
Yo, what's going on?
Not much, man. Excited to get the season kicked off. So this month is Juco Appreciation Month. For all those who don't already appreciate it, hopefully you'll appreciate it even more after this. But as a Juco product myself, as a coach for 5 years at Richland, D3 Juco, Collin County in Dallas, Paris Junior College, and Midland. I'm a JUCO product for 5 years as a coach, and then of course Brandon is the OG and the mastermind behind JUCO Advocate. Has done a great job in the JUCO game. So yeah, just tell us what that JUCO product means, BG, real quick before we get started.
What does JUCO product mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. We use that hashtag now all the time to tag people and to draw attention to people, but like it's something different for everybody. Like everybody's got a different path, a different reason to be a JUCO guy. You know, like I didn't go to junior college.
Right.
You know, I got into junior college because of a kid that ended up going to junior college and saw how amazing junior college was and all the different stories and the opportunities that it affords and things like that. So like being a JUCO product means a million different things, and it's like so diverse. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk a little bit about why we started the show and what made us want to do this and kind of what our purpose is. But real quick, before we go any further, we definitely want to take just at least a minute to give a moment of silence for just a great man in the basketball community, Coach Anthony Stewart, who passed away tragically this over the weekend. So we want to give a quick moment of silence in respect to him. Yeah, that was heavy news to find out. I didn't actually know Coach Stewart, but I'll let you share any words that if you did know him. I know he was a member of a group that we're all a part of, myself and Brandon, called Embrace Us. Head coach of Tennessee Martin, his son played for him. Again, all I know of him is just for him being a good man and having a great reputation of being a positive person.
Yep, lots of stories from guys, all around the country at all different levels and things about him. So, well-liked guy, family man, father, coach, and as a coach, you're a father to a lot of people. So tough news this week for sure. Can't hear you, Coach.
Oh, yeah, technical difficulties. It's called the mute button. Yeah, we started this just wanting to make sure that we covered JUCO basketball on a weekly basis, talk about topics in JUCO, talk about some of the games going on, some of the people who played well, have on different guests, and just shine more light on JUCO. Sometimes it has whatever connotation it may have, but we want to make sure we do a great job of just covering JUCO basketball, and no one better to do it with than Brandon himself. So we have a great guest lineup in about 10 minutes. We'll have the head coach at Odessa Junior College, Coach Buckley will come on and talk a little bit about his JUCO experience. He also went to the Division I level. There's been a tremendous amount of coaches at the Division I level that have had major success. Some of the best coaches in our game started in junior college, so we'll talk a lot about that with him. We also have Coach Joe Eatman, who's a part of Project Rise, who's the head coach at Sheldon State. He'll come on as well. And then we have Corey Black in the last hour that will come on from JUCOReport.com and tell us a little bit about some JUCO on his end. So real quick, BG, tell the people kind of how you got started in the JUCO game and how you created JUCO Advocate and how you kind of got to where you are now.
Yeah, for sure. Before I get into that, I didn't tell you this, but at some point throughout the show, I am going to drop my top 10, 21 Juco guys. So I figured with the first show, I'd go ahead and tick a bunch of people off and then make them throw things at me for the next week. As soon as you put out a list or a ranking of any sort, like you're immediately on a bunch of people's hit lists. So we're gonna drop that today. So anybody out there listening that wants to hear that, make sure you stay tuned for that later. But Juco Advocate was not something that I intended to ever be what I do for a living. It really started with one guy, and his name was Solomon Heine. And so I was doing some data and analytics stuff for a Division I team and met Solomon through that process. He was in the Air Force and had gotten out of the military and wanted to walk onto this team. And the head coach at the time wasn't really looking at walk-ons. So worked him out, filmed him. Dwight Smith, who is now the assistant at McCook, I think it made the introduction. And so worked him out, filmed him, and sent it down to Sam Winooski at Midland. And Sam said, "Hey, yeah, we got a walk-on spot." And so he went down there and started for him, and got a bunch of Division I recruitment out of it. That was kind of where I started on the social media side of things, with just hitting every coach in the country. Like if 5-6 years ago you were a Division I coach, I guarantee you got some sort of DM or tweet or something from my personal account with Solomon's stuff on it. And so sent that out. And then once he got taken care of to his school, just kind of thought, I'll bet there's other people that could use some stuff. And so I started this little spreadsheet, and, I'd get kids just hit me up and just send the spreadsheet out, and I'd watch film and send it to coaches. And it just kind of grew and grew and grew. And so like April of 19, Nathan LeClaire from Verbal Commits and I got together and said, "Hey, I think we got something bigger that we could really do here." And so we brought in Verbal Commits under our parent company. And now we've just, we've kind of got a lot of things that we do. We go all over the world. We run free camps for kids. We've got a lot of work we do with our foundation, our 501c3 foundation. It just kind of keeps growing and changing for sure. And so, lots of different things.
Yeah, it's been an amazing ride to see what you've done in such a short amount of time. I think some people, when they were getting those emails, are probably like, "Man, who is this guy? What is he?"
Absolutely.
What is he think he's doing?
Right.
We got a quick comment from Coach Mark Amaral.
Mark Amaral.
Yeah,
showing guy.
Man, showing some love. Former Pepperdine assistant, Colorado State. Been a lot of places. Great coach. I think he might be in China now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Doing some things over there. Then we got another comment from our guy EJ Kushner.
Oh man,
representing. What up, Kush?
Shout out to EJ for their draft success the other night there with Beyond Athlete Management.
Yeah, EJ is a former player of mine, and one of the best agents in the game right now, and just picked up another one, as DJ Khaled would say, another one. So let's talk a little bit about draft. We got a few minutes before we get Coach Bucket on. Let's talk a little bit about NBA draft, and just let's talk about JUCO guys that have been drafted. We'll talk later about JUCO pros in the history, but let's talk about just the recent draft and what you saw.
Well, we saw Jaden Scrub get drafted 55, I think, to the Nets, and then traded to the Clippers right away. I can't remember if the pick was traded or what. I get so lost watching the draft there, where they've got the team selecting, but they don't do a great job of telling you who actually has the pick because of the NBA rules with like stuff having to be approved,
right,
and all that. And so, where I was on this live show watching the draft, and I would say something like, "Oh man, that's a great pickup for the Kings," and they're like, "Excuse me, that pick is going to the Pistons instead." I'm like,
right.
I don't know. I'm not on Twitter because I don't want to watch Woj, ruin every pick for me 7 minutes before it's announced. Like I swear Woj knows before the player, before the GM knows, Woj knows. And so I wasn't watching all the trades and stuff like that. But anyways, so Jaden Scrub, straight from junior college, gets drafted. And that's a great story for junior college because, a lot of people, I think when they saw where he was from, like kind of did a head snap saying, well, wait a minute, we were just drafting guys straight from junior college. Like, what are we doing? Right. And it has happened before. It doesn't happen very often, but junior college, as you know, and there are players in junior college that can play at the absolute highest of levels of Division I basketball. There's a player that I'll talk about later when I'm doing my list there that's actually not even in the top 10, but I want to talk about him anyways, because he's the kind of guy that could end up being drafted directly from junior college next year. Yep. And, there's a lot of different ways to go about that professional basketball process. And I think the diversity of people looking to the junior college space is increasing. I know I was on 7 conference calls with NBA teams this year, talking about not only guys in this draft, but more so for next season, guys that played in junior college that are Division I now, or guys that are in junior college right now. So, I mean, I feel like they're expanding their view to maybe looking at it more now, kind of like they did back in the 90s.
Yeah, it's definitely more of an open-mindedness to it. And again, when things like this happen, I think it always just helps change people's perception of like, okay, you got a JUCO guy going straight to the league. So definitely shout out to the news on the draft and having a guy come in straight from. We got a few comments we'll get to real quick before we bring in Coach Bucket. We got Cabril Huff. Congratulations on your new job, Coach. NAI head coach at Voorhees College. 2 of the best in the business dropping knowledge. We appreciate that. Got Kevin Messer. Man, we used to reference those wars in East Texas, JUCO, Guy Davis, Dale Dotson, Red Spencer, Steve Schumacher, Scott Monarchs teams, Panola, Philly Connection, pressed all night, unbelievable athletes, great memories. Appreciate the comments. Thanks again for that. Tell us a little bit, let's talk before we get Coach Bucket on here. Talk a little bit about JUCO in general. What's kind of some of the misperceptions? What's some of the just some of the misconceptions about JUCO basketball and JUCO as a level as a whole?
Well, there's really kind of 2 prevailing, I guess, perceptions that people have. One is that junior college is low-level basketball, and that's categorically not true. There are junior college teams every year that I know for a fact would not only beat a number of Division I teams, but would give a lot of others a run for their money. I mean, when you think about it, like a Hank Polona Indian Hills team, and he's not unique in this, but that like they may have 6 to 8 Division I guys on the team. And guys that go high major. I mean, Tynan Grant Foster's at Kansas and doing really well there. And that's big boy basketball. And not that every team is of that level, but there are teams all over the place that have high level players on them. And so there's that's just a lazy perception, really, is somebody that says, oh, well, junior college is just kind of whatever. And then the other perception, of course, is you're in junior college because, you're academically a disaster, or you're a bad kid, or whatever. And like any level, there are different reasons why people are where they are. I know plenty of Division I teams that have complete idiots on them. And like they came straight from high school. Like it's, it's everywhere, right? Like junior college. Yeah. There's going to be some guys that didn't have the grades and they're in junior college. There's going to be some guys that did something that caused them to miss out on some other opportunities and wound up in junior college. Like, there's this, where they had to settle for junior college thing. But I mean, there are literally hundreds of kids that sign Division I every year from junior college. There are hundreds that go Division II. There are hundreds that go to NAIA. Like it's just a different path to an opportunity, and the guys that take advantage of it, and really focus and have success with it. Like, I don't think there is anything that you would be able to show me that says that there is a higher success rate at the next level, whatever that is, from high school as opposed to junior college. Now, there are more kids from high school just because there are way more high school players, but from a percentage standpoint, think about how many guys we know go straight from high school to that 4-year school, and then the next year they're not there. Right. And something happens, whatever. Like, it's just again a lazy perception that fortunately through things like this and social media and whatnot, we are able to kind of address some of those things, and I think people are really starting to see not only the benefits but just like how high of a level like this stuff is.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about some of the guys that have gone on to the next level, like we said later in the show. Not only high level of players, but also high level coaches. So as we speak,
for sure,
coaches, we'll bring in a high level coach himself, Coach Buckley Ballman from Odessa. Coach, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can, man. How you doing?
Everything's good.
What's up, Coach?
How are you guys?
Good, man. Good to have you on, man. We had to have you on the first show, get it started. For those that don't follow Coach on social media, Coach is a good follow. He'll definitely give you his own opinion and not afraid to say it, and always celebrating Juco. That's one thing I love about Coach. And so there's one tweet in particular that I wanted to bring up as we start. And you've done the transition. You were the head coach at Trinity Valley. You went to UTEP as an assistant, and now you're back in junior college. You made a tweet earlier in this offseason during the pandemic about coaches from the junior college level that have gone on to the Division I level have success. If you don't mind, talk a little bit about that tweet and a little bit about what you were trying to get across.
Yeah, I just think there's so many guys out there that people don't understand that have had tremendous success at the junior college level are now Division I coaches. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize that Dana Altman was a junior college coach. I mean, people gets lost. Kermit Davis. I mean, there's numerous guys. Everybody, Chris Beard and Chris Jans have had great success recently, but I mean, there's just so many guys out there that were tremendous. I mean, John Beeline. I mean, it goes way back to guys that have junior college experience, and junior college is a great starting place for a lot of guys. Just because you have to do every facet. You have to do recruiting, you have to do game management, you have to do the academic part of it. It takes every part of it to be successful. So, there's a lot of guys, and I think it's going to be even more crucial now with these, with the roster management that's going to happen, because I don't think guys are going to play 4 years of college basketball anymore. And in junior college, your roster is always changing. And I think it's guys with junior college experience that have dealt with that kind of stuff are going to be successful. I think, like you guys, I think junior college gets a bad rap sometimes from ADs and other guys around the country. And my point was, when I got the tweet out, is there's a lot of people out there that guys don't understand that have JUCO backgrounds that have been very, very successful. And guys may have not even known that they were junior college coaches.
Yeah.
One of the tweets I put out was, guys are hiring NBA guys all the time, guys that leave, that were former NBA players that have become head coaches. And I did a comparison between a guy that was, NBA coaches that hadn't had a lot of experience at the collegiate level and junior college coaches. And it was astounding. The junior college guys' records were a lot better than the NBA guys. And that's not a knock on the NBA guys, but the stats are the stats. The numbers show what they are. So,
right.
Some guys, I just think it's important to put guys out there on the radar that, that there's a lot of guys that are really good coaches at this level that have moved up and have been very, very successful. And, sometimes they get lost. People forget where they started.
No, absolutely, Coach. Tell us about your transition. You made the transition. I believe when you were at Trinity Valley, you were number 1 in the country. And then you made the move to UTEP to work for, drawing a blank on his name.
Coach Floyd.
Coach Floyd, former NBA coach as well. Tell us about your transition from JUCO to being a Division I assistant.
Well, I was fortunate because, Coach Floyd is a legend in the business. So I was fortunate to go have a chance, my first Division I job, to go work for him.
Absolutely.
I caught him at the tail end of his career, which was unfortunate, but I learned a lot in 2 years. You know, it was just a situation where he kind of got burned out on it at the end and decided to step away. And it was unfortunate because I was really, really starting to kind of get comfortable and with the recruiting part of it and the coaching part of it. But, you know, things happen in this business and you got to change all the time. And Phil Johnson was on that staff. He's associate head coach. You know, he coached in the NBA as well. So I learned a tremendous amount in a real short period of time. So, and I was lucky enough to get this job. You know, I think this is one of the premier jobs in the country, and I was lucky enough to land on my feet. And, you know, not very many guys, you know, people don't understand how hard it is when you lose your job in this business. You think you just land into another job. And Brian, you know this, you know, as well. Yep. It's really, really difficult. You know, you think you can get another one, and it's much more difficult than people think. And I was blessed and fortunate that Dr. Williams and Wayne Baker thought enough of me to give me this job, and I'm really excited about this year and the guys that we got. So,
yeah, I'll ask one more, and I'll turn it over to BG. So tell us if you had to say, what do you think it is that makes it where the guys that have coached in junior college end up having so much enormous success at the next level? You mentioned Dana Altman, you mentioned Chris Beard, you mentioned Chris Jans, Steve Forbes is another. The list kind of goes on and on. KT Turner just got promoted to a new job at Texas. There's guys, the list is endless. So what do you think it is from the junior college level that makes guys so successful at the next level?
Well, I think when guys originally got into coaching, especially those guys you just mentioned, they didn't get into it for the money. There's so much money in college basketball now. A lot of guys, it's kind of brought some guys in that they just want to make a lot of money when they see how much money and the fame and everything else of being on, you know, these college staffs. I think guys get into junior college not for the money. I think they get in because they love basketball and they love being around kids and they love the teaching part of it. And, you know, they don't mind sweeping the floor or packing the uniforms. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And, you know, I think the guys, I mean, my first job, I made $5,000 at Chipotle and lived in the dorms. I mean, that was my very first job. And I loved it. It was one of the happiest years. You know, those were some of the happiest years of my life. And you get into it for, you know, the love of the game, the love of helping people, being a servant. You don't get into it for the money. Now, the money, as you move up in the business, it becomes pretty attractive, obviously. And I think that's in any business. But, you know, the guys that got in it, you know, you have to learn. Like I said, you have to learn how to recruit. You know, you have to learn how to handle academics. You got to learn how to work with administrators on campus. You've got to work, you know, you've got to learn how to run the shot clock and the game clock in practice. I mean, there's a million things that you got to learn how to do the laundry after practice. I mean, things that people don't even think about that you're doing as an assistant junior college coach, that you got to take guys to the airport. You got to take them back. You know, you got to walk them to class. You got to make sure they don't leave class early when they're in class. I mean, just numerous things that you know, guys on Division I, those are your managers are doing that at Division I schools. I mean, you're doing everything, but I think it gives you have background in everything. So I think when you do get a job at the Division I level, you know, I think you have a much better understanding how the program's supposed to work. You know, I've talked to Steve Forbes and some of those guys, you know, they talk about their experiences in the business, and it's amazing the things that, you know, they had to do as they moved up. I mean, Steve Forbes started at Southwestern Iowa in Creston, you know, Iowa, you know, and I mean, there's just a lot of, and people don't understand is you beg and plead to get these junior college jobs. I mean, guys understand these jobs are hard to get as well, you know, just like Division I jobs. And there's, just like you guys know, there's tremendous talent at this level. You know, there's very, very good players, and there's very, very good people. And some of these kids, the best experience they have in their careers are at the junior college level. You know, a lot of guys, they'll tell you, say, what was your best experience? It was when I was playing at Odessa or playing at South Plains or playing at Indian Hills. He said, those were the best years of my life.
Real quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk and say something about Grant McCassin and Ross Hodge, who I work for. Those guys just won a conference championship over at North Texas. Those guys are Juco products too. Yeah, definitely that transition. You have to do everything at the junior college level. And as an assistant at the junior college level myself, your staff is a lot shorter than at the Division I level. So there's no specialization. There's no director of ops. There's no video coordinator. You have to wear all those hats. So I'll pass it over to Brandon and let him kind of get some questions.
Yeah, I think when we talk about like the success level of some of those guys that have moved on, which I do always like to think about, what was that like when Steve Forbes was doing dorm room checks? Like,
I mean, Coach Forbes has got. I mean, he's a junior college level, you know, legend. Some of the places that he's worked and, you know, the places that he's moved up, you know, and you feel good for guys like that because I mean, he's a grinder, and he's done it his whole life, and he's moved up. And, in Grant, I knew Grant McCaslin when he was the second assistant at Northeastern Junior College in Sterling, Colorado, and I was the head coach at Lamar. I mean, a lot of these guys go way back, and it doesn't surprise me how successful he's been, because they were successful there and at every level. I tried to get on with him at Midland, and he had hired Linder, who's now the head coach now at Wyoming. And I mean, you look at the tree of those guys they've had and the success that guys have had, and it's amazing, just all the ties that guys have within the junior college ranks.
I think too, the thing that I've noticed is it's almost like a different attitude, a different personality or something for the guys that have done that. I mean, you think about like a Forbes, for example, like he came out, I was at the Region 9 championships, and I'm sitting there with him and Molinari, and they're telling me stories, about yesteryear. And it was like such a different, approachable attitude, almost kind of like, we always say, like, don't forget where you came from. Right. And there's so many of these guys that are now Division I head coaches that were junior college guys, and they haven't forgotten, they love telling those stories of where they came from.
It's a badge of honor. I didn't play junior college basketball. My dad coached junior college baseball, of all things, for 35 years. And, but it's a badge of honor. It really, really is. When I was a kid, I grew up on the bottom run underneath vans riding to baseball games, so I could go. I mean, it really is a badge of honor, and guys wear it very proudly, because it's kind of like the junior college kids when they talk about Jimmy Butler and the NBA and everything else. You never forget where you came from, and like I said, you get overlooked and you have to grind. But like I said, it's really, really an enjoyable. I think this is really the last true form of basketball in this country, because the way we don't have a lot of limited hours on how long we can work with these guys, or what the stuff that we can do. I mean, this is true basketball still. We can still coach them hard, and we don't have to worry about guys transferring if we hurt their feelings and everything else. I mean, there's just a lot of. And these guys learn to grind. I mean, we're going to leave tomorrow. We're packing sack lunches to go up and play Salt Lake up at South Plains. And, our guys are going to eat sack lunches on the way up, and we're going to play Salt Lake, who's very, very good. And then we're going to get a good meal. And guys don't understand that. They're going to be on a 15-passenger bus, and my assistant coach is going to drive the bus. I mean, those things people are, they think, wow. But, you really get to bond in those times, and you really get to know your teammates, and you really get, just like you said, you got in this because you had one special relationship with a kid, and it's kind of evolved. Well, it's the same here. The relationships we have with these kids at this level is just tremendous. And like I said, I wouldn't trade my experiences for the world. I've been a lot of unique places and seen a lot of unique people, and have had a lot of unique kids, but I've really, really enjoyed this part of it, and I'm really starting to settle and enjoy doing what I'm doing.
Well, and the for both the players and the coaches, right? We always kind of joke about the Juco things,
Right.
But the character that those things build, and we always talk about like character through struggle and all that sort of stuff. And not that, struggle's not even the right word, right? It's just, there is a difference between flying a charter and chartering a van, right?
Well, yeah.
And at the end of the day, I can guarantee you that all those guys we mentioned will say they sure learned a lot more about who they are, who their team is, how they can overcome things sitting in that van than sitting on that charter flight.
Well, I had Octavius Ellis, who played for me and then went to Cincinnati and played for Coach Cronin, and, Mick's one of the best coaches in the country. And he texted me one night and he said, "Man, Coach, these guys don't understand." I'm like, "What?" And he said, "They've never eaten cold pizza before." And, after the game, if that pizza is not delivered on time, you're getting cold pizza, and those kids are eating cold pizza on the way home. And his point is, guys don't really understand the grind and what you have to eat. Guys get spoiled. I remember when I went to UTEP and we had team meals and team functions, and I was amazed at all the stuff. And guys, there were guys that would whine about certain things there, and I would just kind of laugh in the back of my head, said, if these guys only really knew, where some of these guys, what they have to do just to be able to play at the collegiate level. But no, it's pretty interesting, and as you know, and I think it's really cool, some of the things that you've done with the international kids. The kid that played at New Mexico last year, that's at BYU, I can't remember his name, but he is a tremendous young man. And I had a chance to meet him. He actually got hurt in our game, but I saw some of the things he did and some of the opportunities. I've got a couple international kids here that were just, I mean, they had to stay here through COVID because they couldn't go home. And they were so thankful for the opportunity that they have in this country. And, those things, those really change you as a person, as a coach, when you see how appreciative people are for the opportunities that they've been given here.
And things that junior college is unique in its ability to offer, because were it not for junior college, nobody knows who Gideon George is.
No, and he's as good a person as there is, not only in college basketball, in the world. And like I said, the things that he's done, and I remember we'd play games and he'd come over and thank me and talk to me, and he'd be in the game and he'd look over and say, "Hey coach, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, we're trying to win. We're trying to beat you in here." But he's just that kind of guy. And like I said, you feel really good, when, BYU got a heck of a player and a heck of a person. And when those kids have a chance to move on and be successful, and he'll have a tremendous impact in their program just because of who he is as a person.
Yep. 100%.
So tell us a little bit about your team this year. I know we're talking about Juco and giving love to Juco. We wouldn't want to have you on and not have you talk a little bit about your path and career, because you've been in Kansas. You've also coached in the East Texas League. Now you're in the West Texas League. There's always arguments, Bucket, about which league is the best. So you might have some of the best perspective. But tell us a little bit about your team and then just kind of Juco and the stops that you've been.
Well, the West is best, guys. I can tell you that. I don't, the West Texas is the best. You just look at what we've done in the national tournament and through the years and everything else, the last 10 to 15 years. It's a tremendous league. It's got great players. Somebody brought up a stat that I think there were 12 NBA guys on contracts, and 6 of them were whackjack guys, were Western Texas kids. So, it kind of tells you the talent that we have out here. I've been at all. East Texas was tremendous. I learned how to coach in Kansas. The Jayhawk West was, it was loaded. It was great basketball. So I've seen it all. We got an interesting team. I got 2 guys back. We weren't as good as it was probably one of my worst years in 20 years last year. And, I brought 2 kids back off that team, and we got a lot of work to do. I got a tremendous group of guys. This COVID stuff has made stuff really interesting, but we got a good group, and, we're going to add some more guys here at the break. And, I've got a couple scholarships open, and I've got an international kid coming over, and I've got a couple other guys we're looking at. So we got a heck of a challenge tomorrow. We got to play Salt Lake, and I'm not sure we're ready to play them yet, but we'll go up there and fight them and try to give them a battle. And we'll get a chance to watch South Plains play, who I've heard is tremendous. I've heard their talent is outstanding this year. So, and Steve's got a lot of guys back. So, I'm sure they'll be top, 1, 2, or 3 in the country. So I'll get a chance to watch them. And more importantly, our guys get to watch them play. Because I think the best way for your kids to learn about this league is to watch other good teams in your league play. So, but I really like my group. We got a lot of new faces, and it always takes a while. I do think the better coaches in this country will be really, really good this year. I think you'll see a better junior college basketball than you've ever seen, just because we've had so much more time with our guys to kind of get them ready to play. I just hope we play. At the end of the day, I just hope we're able to get through this stuff that we're going through now, and the kids it's safe to go out there and play, because I think you're going to see outstanding players and competition. But I think guys have really, really been able to be coached this year for 3 or 4 or 5 months before we get to get out there and turn them loose on, in real games.
Well, you talk about being, able to handle a lot of things and wear a lot of different hats. You hear coaches, Division I coaches talk about like, how difficult things are right now, dealing with COVID and whatever. And it's like, are you recruiting 3 or 4 guys through the fall while you're preparing your team while dealing with COVID? But it's not like, oh yeah, we're just going to bring in these people. We're going to do all this testing. It's like, some guys got to go to different towns to do testing. It is chaos right now. If a coach makes it through this fall and this spring as a junior college coach, they need a medal, because this is a different year.
I saw Jeff Goodman. He was talking about all the guys that were whining about scheduling, how hard scheduling was. and I want to tell. I believe this. I told those guys. I said, you ought to be happy if you get a check this month. You ought to be happy you get your check every month. I don't want to hear guys whine about, well, this is difficult. If you get an opportunity to play this year and you get a chance to because there's a lot of people out here that lost their jobs that don't have they're not getting paid. And I get tired of the guys that whine, scheduling. So, and it is because of all the changes, but you know, I want to share with them. You better be grateful if we get a chance to play basketball and you're able to coach at the collegiate level. What a gift that is. And sometimes I just hear all these guys and I just kind of shake my head sometimes and go, you guys really, I mean, it's beautiful. We get paid to coach, do something we love and coach guys that we love. So I think that's a little bit, sometimes I see that, Jeff Goodman puts all that stuff out there and I follow Jeff, and Jeff's a really good guy, but I just sit there and laugh sometimes about it.
Perspective.
We got speaking of perspective, we got one of your coaching tree. Bucket now has a coaching tree.
Oh, my goodness. First of all, you got to see who I claim and who I don't claim. There'll be some guys that want to jump on that tree that I don't claim. I can tell you that. Well,
Hunter Jenkins, new head coach at Clarendon College, in the same league. Congratulations, Hunter. He says Bucket for president 2024. Tell us a little bit about what it's like having one of your former guys in the league, and he's now a head coach.
Oh, I thought it was great. I thought Hunter got a great opportunity. Isaac did a tremendous job at Clarendon. I mean, he won the league up there, which is, for him to do what he did there is just tremendous in our league. Hunter got Isaac got a great opportunity to move on to Louisiana Monroe, another junior college guy moving up, Yep. And Hunter got the opportunity. I think he'll do great things. He's got one of my former assistants there, Coach Bradley, who was with me. He's also got, I think, the guy in student services that played for me, Tad Andrews, and actually Tad and Jay played for me, and Hunter was with us when I was at Trinity Valley. So no, those guys they're going to be a thorn in our side. I saw their talent level. They've got two really good players right now up there, and I know they're going to add some more. So, I was really, really happy for him. Coach Leslie, a guy that I played with in college, is at Trinity Valley. He worked for me for a long time. He worked for me at Garden City and Trinity Valley. I know they're really, really good. He's done a tremendous job since he's been there, and this is his first chance to be a head coach. And I think he'll surprise a lot of people. Number one, their talent, and number two, how good a coach he is. So he's going to be another guy but there's a lot of guys out there that I've got some ties to and former. In fact, Jay Scrub, the kid that got drafted, was trained by one of my former guys, Levon Morris, when I was at Garden City. And, and I told him and I said, hey, can you kind of give me a heads up next time you get a guy like that? So I think I was actually at UTEP when the kid went to John A. Logan. But no, it's kind of cool, all the ties that I have, with some of these other guys, and it just means I'm getting older. So.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, Coach, any last things you would say about junior college in general for those that don't really understand and don't respect it, the level? We want to make sure we're showing as much appreciation to Juco, but also giving a little education. So anything you have left for us that you want to leave with, we would love to have you share.
Well, I just think it's great guys like you guys. I think you guys that you promoted, I think you have to get it out there in front of people all the time. And I know Brian has done a tremendous job with it, and I know, Brian, you're getting into it. I just think it's good that you guys are getting these kids out there and their stories out there, and the coaches and everything else, because I think it's very, very vital. And that's kind of what my tweet was when you asked me earlier. It was to get these guys, to let everybody know that this is a tremendous level with tremendous coaches and tremendous players, and that, we don't always get the visibility that everybody else does, but it's a great experience. I'm at one of the premier junior colleges in the country, and I work for great people. Dr. Williams is a tremendous leader. And like I said, I'm just hoping we get to play some basketball this year and everybody gets a chance to watch junior college basketball, and everybody gets to go to Hutch and enjoy that experience, because that's a lifetime experience.
Absolutely. You've been a few times, so firsthand. I'll let Brandon kind of give any thoughts he has before we let you go, man. Thanks so much for coming on, Coach. Good luck this season. Stay safe, and keep those guys wearing the mask, of course.
I only got one favor, Brandon. I want to come over and play NBA Jam. That's all I want. Because you got that old NBA Jam, and that's what we grew up playing. I love NBA Jam. So
100%, man.
If I get a chance, John Stockton and Karl Malone or whoever it is, I want to get over there and play some NBA Jam with you.
I love it, Coach. Keep doing your thing.
I got a text that came in. Former Odessa Wrangler Keandre Cook signs free agent deal with the Hornets.
There you go. I mean, there's guys. I mean, you're talking about. I mean, people forget Craig Elo played here. People from way back in the day. I mean, Craig Elo's from right down the road here in Lubbock, and he played here. And Moochie Norris and LJ, and I thought it was cool. I didn't coach Keandre, but I sent a deal out to Keandre and said, hey, best of luck and everything else on Twitter. And he said, OC for life, coach. And I didn't coach him, but that's the kind of things, just like you guys were talking about, the experience that he had here with Trey Arnold. You can't change that. And that kid, he never, guys never forget that. It's, I think that's really, really cool. And I wish Keandre the best of luck.
Could end up with a couple Wranglers in the NBA this year if Cook can stick and if Josh Gray gets.
Oh, yeah, Josh has bounced around, and LJ is going to get a chance. LJ, after he's done with Oregon, he's trying to get through the waiver process right now, but he's going to have an opportunity. And it's crazy. I mean, the kid that was at Western Texas, I actually was in his home trying to get him to come to Trinity Valley. I can't think of his name right now, but you start looking around, all these guys, and it's just amazing. Elise Johnson from Frank Phillips and all these guys. It's just amazing, the success. Jay Crowder, obviously, what he did in the finals, playing at Howard and everything else. So, I mean, there's tremendous players all over the country, and there's tremendous players in our league.
Yeah, you mentioned Trey Arnold. We should give shout out to him, another JUCO guy who is now at Sanford, I believe, as an assistant coach.
Yeah, it was a tremendous hire. It's a tremendous hire for them. I would look for them to do big things. I think they're going to be a sleeper, and I think they're going to do big things up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Jace Harrell is the one who sent me the text over at Missouri State. So no, thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this weekend, and we'll definitely stay in touch and definitely stay safe and look forward to watching the Wranglers do some big things this year as always.
Thanks for having me, guys, and thanks for talking about Wrangler basketball.
Be good, Coach.
Absolutely. Yeah, good little segment there, man. Got to get some love to some JUCO, some West Texas. I'm biased. I coached at Midland for a little bit with Ross Hodge and from Texas, so. Yeah,
Ross Hodge and Leonard Perry were the first two guys that I ever spoke to about anything. Ross Hodge and Leonard Perry, and then Sam Winooski was on the same staff at the time of Colorado State. Those are the guys that are the reason why I'm even in basketball. So
and that's kind of how you got in, was right at Colorado State when you were a student. Tell us a little bit about that story. Shout out to some of our guys, Ross Hodge and Leonard Perry.
Yeah, I was just tweeting about analytics. I was diving into Ken Palm I got into basketball because of math, which is really silly, but I wasn't like a huge basketball guy before, and then kind of really found my, or at least what I thought was going to be my space in basketball with doing analytics and logarithms and expected outcomes and all this kind of stuff. And so I was tweeting about it, and Sam Winooski saw it. I was tweeting about it from a personal account, and he said, "Hey, Coach Hodge and Coach Perry want to ask you some questions about this stuff that you're tweeting about." And so I went out to lunch with them and talked about stuff, and then kind of helped them with some things throughout a few years there. And we just stayed friends and close and stuff. And then when Sam went down to Midland, that was when I hit him up and I said, "Hey, I got this dude that, he looks really good. Like, can you take a look at him?" And goes to Midland, and Jordan Dreiling was the coach down there at the time. And Solly is now doing his thing. He's in the corporate world out in LA and played a little pro ball and found out what that's like in South America. For all the guys out there to say, "You know what, I'm just gonna go pro. I'm just gonna give Solomon a call and ask him what playing professional basketball in South America is like."
Not as easy as you think.
No, he's like, "Did you know that they can just punch you and they're not gonna call it?"
Right. We got another JUCO guest. We're gonna bring in another JUCO head coach, Coach Joe Eatman. We'll also let Brandon talk a little bit about Project Rise, which Coach Eatman is a part of.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that'll be great. So we're gonna have a quick 30-second timeout, not a full, just a 30-second timeout, and then we'll bring him in. All right, we got Coach Eatman in. Welcome, Coach. Good morning to you, man.
Good morning. Glad to be here, man. It's a high level event, man. Y'all got me on after Coach Bucket, man. That's a hard act to follow.
Hey, we got you on the opener too. We didn't want to wait till later, man. We're gonna talk Project Rise. We're gonna talk Shelton State. Talk a little bit of Embrace Us. We're gonna talk it all, man. But we'll let you guys kind of get it kicked off and just talk about Project Rise itself.
I don't know how much Coach Eatman knows about Project Rise. I got some emails I got to send out in the next few days, but yeah, Project Rise. was something that kind of sprung from this summer. Is we looked around and said, what can we do? What from our toolbox, I guess, have as big of an impact as we possibly can. And so Project Rise is what is now actually 11 instead of 10 Black coaches from junior college, high school, and AAU, and coaches that we felt are not only ready, but more than deserving of Division I opportunities next season. And it's not that Division I basketball is the end all be all of everything, but there is an absolute need for a significant increase in diversity in Division I basketball, especially. And so we said, well, we kind of know everybody. For some reason, people listen to us. So we should just kind of kick in the door and say, hey, here is 11 guys that y'all need to hire. And so Coach Eatman was one of our first choices for that because we think he does a tremendous job as a coach, but he does a tremendous job as being the surrogate father to his kids as a coach is in his program. Quality of character above all else. And so, we will have Coach Eatman in the program this year, and we'll be matching him up with a mentor head coach from the Division I ranks here shortly, and kind of going through a lot of stuff this year, and really just trying to find a way to inject as many minority coaches into Division I basketball next year as we possibly can, and do it again and again and again. Did we lose Brian? We may have lost Brian.
Well, Brandon, I just want to say I really appreciate the opportunity. I think it's great what you're doing, and I'm excited to be a part of it. I think it's huge, like you said. I think it is a big need, and not only Division I basketball, but all over college basketball. Period.
For sure.
I think at the end of the day, I think our job is to make a difference in kids' lives. And when most of the kids in college basketball look like me, I'm excited for an opportunity to be able to make a difference any way I can.
Well, and we appreciate you wanting to be a part of it, because I think, guys like you instantly lend credibility to what we're trying to do. Because, there's not a program in the country that if they call and say, hey, I need an assistant, whatever, that we wouldn't say, hire Coach Eatman. So this is we're really excited about this, because I think, we impact players' lives as much as we can and help as much as we can and stuff. But I think this is something that is just needed. And so we're excited about being able to help with the tools that we have at our disposal. So.
Yeah, you didn't lose me. I was just trying to give Coach Eatman a chance to take the mic for a second, man. I was trying to say, man, I didn't want him to get stage fright. All right, let's let him get out there a little bit. Talk a little bit before we go into Shelton State and talk more Juco appreciation. Talk a little bit about Embrace Us. We're all blessed to be a part of this this awesome group for empowerment and for change. BG just talked about some change they're doing with Juco Advocate, with Project Rise. Talk a little bit about Embrace Us. We all can kind of take a turn for it, but I'll let you guys kind of jump in on that first.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that's going to come out of Embrace Us, we always talk about networking, right? Like everybody has this idea of what networking is. But there's a huge piece of networking that I think a lot of people miss out on. And that's really more the servant leadership side of it, where in a networking situation, it's not so much about what can you do for me? It's what can I do for you? And the circle that creates. And Embrace Us is such a strong group of people that are all like-minded in the thought of not what can you do for me, but what can I do for you? People in Embrace Us are constantly looking out for the other members as far as, how can I help you? What can I do to improve, your day? What can I do to help you get to where you want to get? And that's what's special about that group, I think, is that everybody there really understands that servant leadership side of things.
Joe, for those that don't know what Embrace Us is, will you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great group. Penny and Corey and Huff, Brandon. I think they've done a great job of creating a big time group of like minded individuals. And growing up, that was one thing that was always stressed to me. One, you got to surround yourself by good people, and two, you got to surround yourself by people that got a common goal. And I think the great thing about the group is, like Brandon said, it's not about what the group can do for me. It's more about what I can do for the group, what we can do for our communities, and how can we impact the lives of, our young men and women that we work with every day. So I think that's the great thing about the group. I think we've all got a common goal in impacting lives as a whole. I think it's going to be a big time group, and we've got great things coming that we're going to be doing here soon and in the future.
Yeah, and I think just the idea too with a group that's fighting for change, for more positive change, and the concept behind Embrace Us too is all of us. I mean, we want an equality amongst all of us. We also want to help change some of these systematic things that have not been great, especially for Black people. But it's not just about us as Black people, but just people in general. All coming together as a human race. I think that's the part I love about how Penny has led it and how the leaders have led the group. Shout out to Penny Collins, head coach of Tennessee State.
I was gonna say like special shout out to Penny Collins for his forethought and ability to put this thing together. I mean, Penny's one of the best coaches in all of basketball. Yep. And more people are starting to see that, and throughout his career, that name is just going to continue to rise. And I, he's so incredibly humble that he'll never say that, right? But for a guy that is on as fast of a rise as I think he's going to be on, to really step back and take a holistic picture, not just like I'll be a part of something, but to say I'm going to create something.
Right.
I'm going to create something that is going to be impactful and is going to, have an instantaneous effect on people's lives. There's not a lot of head coaches at the Division I level. Carm is doing the same thing with his group and Coach Golden and some of these guys that have said, hit the brakes. Coaching is important, but there's something else that's more important, and for them to really take that on, I think is special.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Coach Carm Massimillo at Siena, and then also shout out to Todd Golden at San Francisco, head coaches that also have Coaches for Change that Coach Carm has led, and then Coaches Coalition for Progress, Coach Todd Golden. So let's get to the good stuff. Let's talk some Juco hoops. Tell us about kind of how you got into Juco just a little bit. Tell us some Juco success stories. Let's just have some fun, celebrate Juco, and obviously you're a head coach now. You got kind of a great story. You don't have to get into all of it, but definitely many people probably need to hear a little bit about how you ended up where you are and your perseverance and your kind of resiliency to who you are.
Well, it is quite a long, unique story, but I'll give you all the cliff notes, and I'll start by saying I've probably been let go, more than anybody you're going to have on the call today. But I've got an extremely unique story. I started out as a Division II grad assistant at West Alabama. Then after grad assistant, I took a head high school job for a year, and of course, long story, but my contract was not renewed at the end of the year. After going 20-10, my first year as a high school coach. After that, I went back to West Alabama as a full-time assistant. And Division II basketball is very similar to coaching junior college basketball. You got small staffs, and you kind of learn to do everything. So I think that was a blessing for me to have that opportunity where I was able to coach, I was able to recruit, I was able to look at budget, I was able to do a little bit of everything. So that way, when I got my first opportunity to be a head JUCO coach at Alabama Southern at the time, not Coastal Alabama, I think it's North. I kind of had experience doing everything. So I took that job in October 1 and had a jamboree on October 6th with the team I didn't recruit and with no assistant coach. So, I spent the whole year basically with no assistant coach. and was able to go 20-10 there, and was called in at the end of the year, and contract was non-renewed there. So I was fortunate. I was fortunate to be able to land on my feet. Coach Mohan, who was at Shelton at the time, was looking for an assistant. And I'm from Tuscaloosa, so he gave me the opportunity to come be his assistant for 4 years. In those 4 years, I was a finalist for 5 head coaching positions and didn't get either one. So I wasn't feeling too great about myself. And Coach Mohan decided to retire, and I was fortunate to be able to be named the interim head coach for my first year. My first year there, we had a lot of success. We won the league and made it to Hutch as an interim. In October of the following year, I was sitting in the president's office interviewing for the job against two other guys after winning a championship. So I was fortunate to be able to get the job, and we won 3 of the last 4 region championships in Alabama. We've had, I think 14 guys signed Division I scholarships in the last 4 years, which is unique in our situation because I don't know if anybody knows this, but in Alabama, we only offer books, tuition, and fees. We can't touch housing and meals. So to be able to get the level players that we've been getting over the last 4 years and have so many guys go Division I is a success story in itself.
Y'all got a dude that might hear his name called next year.
Yeah.
On draft night.
Yeah, Roots done an amazing job at Arkansas Little Rock. And I think that's a true testament of kids. I tell people kids picking the right level. I think a lot of times kids get so caught up on going to the high major level and going to the big name programs, but Root did a great job in managing his recruitment and picking the right level. And that's the difference between him being able to probably get drafted next year and which is nothing wrong with having long careers overseas, but if Root goes to a high major, who knows? He may be a rotation guy and not get to hear his name called.
For sure.
I think that's a testament to him. And, and Root's a great example of the type kids we deal with at the junior college level. I mean, to see kids like Root grow and develop not only as a basketball player like he did, but as a person.
Yeah.
And that's something we really put an emphasis on and making sure our guys are growing holistically as young men and as players, and kind of helping them get ready for the next level.
Yeah, I mean, Root's maturity level from when he got to Shelton State to when he left Shelton State was night and day, and a testament to not only your coaching but his buy-in to what you're trying to do, which has now led him to being a guy at Little Rock where he has all the physical tools, right? But what's going to make Root special is when he shows up, whether it be at an individual workout or at the combine or something like that. And he just plays with a different attitude and a different fire in him. And it's a different attitude and fire in him than he had his freshman year. That was the other thing that really was just like, hey, dude, go play hard. Go use the things that you have with the right attitude. And, here he is now.
Yep. I think he may have been 4th or 5th in the country in doubles last year. He was a double machine.
He's gonna move up that list probably a little bit this year.
Yeah. I like I said, I'm just as proud of Root's development off the court as I am his development on the court. That's why I do what I do, to see young men grow and develop and become better people. Because I know if they do that, the basketball will take care of itself. Because we coach talented guys. I tell them all the time, a lot of guys we coach aren't at our level because they're not good players. They're already Division I players. Yeah, we develop a little bit and get them a little stronger and put them in a situation where they can have success. But it's the other things that we work on daily to make sure they're getting where they need to be.
For sure.
Talk a little bit about Juco that you would want people to know. Again, we're kind of in this Juco Appreciation Month, showing love to the JC level. What's some of the things you would want people to know that maybe don't know as much about Juco? What would you want them to know, respect, understand?
Well, one, I mean, we've got great talent level, some of the best talent in college basketball at the Juco level. I mean, you can see that by the coaches that recruit our programs and the kids that have success every year at the next level. So it's a great brand of basketball, to watch because you're watching Division I players. You're watching the same level players that you watch on TV daily. And too, I mean, like Coach Bucket said, it's one of the purest forms of basketball still left out there. Things we get to do at the junior college level, we get to impact lives at a high level. And I think that's the great thing about JUCO basketball because it's not about the media attention. It's not about meeting with boosters every day. It's not about those things at the level. It's strictly about developing kids as players and as people. So I think it's a great level of basketball to watch, and I think more people should support it. Not only at the once we get to the national tournament, but I think it's kids who in programs who don't get an opportunity to go to the national tournament every year that people that have really, really good players that people usually wouldn't know about. So I think it's definitely a level that's a great brand. We produce a great product of basketball and a great product in creating championship citizens in communities.
Yeah, I love that, championship citizens. Coach, we know you have to actually get some real work done out there. We appreciate you coming on, man. And any last words you have?
I'm pretty sure you saw my little daughter in the background touching me on the face, and I'm sorry about that. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell a 5-year-old, hey, you need to leave daddy alone for a little bit. But I'm on daddy duty with the kids.
I have a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. I know BG's got a couple girls. We're girl dads too, so we know about that. That's one thing you can't really tell your daughter is no. That's a hard thing to do. Like mom's got to be the bad cop. You got to be the good cop most of the time.
Oh yeah, most of the time, yeah. But I just want to thank you guys, man. I want to thank you, Brian, and thank you, Brandon, for what you guys are doing. I think it's great what you're doing is bringing exposure to college basketball period, but especially junior college basketball and creating opportunities for guys who wouldn't normally have opportunities. So I just want to say thank you guys and anything we could do at Shelton or I could do personally to support what you all are doing, just give us a shout.
I appreciate you, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. Absolutely. And good luck the rest of the way.
All right. Now you got my boy big time Corey Black up next. So I tell Black I'm watching.
I will. We'll let them know for sure.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach. BG, I know you got some news. We can save it for the end of the show. We can put it in the middle, however you want to do it. Definitely want to thank Coach Eatman for coming on. Definitely starting a business and great coach. Definitely has a team, and as Brandon alluded to, has a real player that could be on the watch that played for him that's at Little Rock and has many more players to come. So
Root's one of those guys that his individual talent is part of it, right? But how hard he plays, that's going to be the thing that the difference between the 7th guy on an NBA roster and a guy that's not on an NBA roster that maybe should be is almost nothing, right? So it's those little finite differences that in regards to how hard you play, your motor, your their ability to count on you in the crunch, the character. Like if you're going to be the 13th guy at the end of an NBA bench, you better be the best dude on the planet.
Yep,
just is. And so Root's maturity level from again when he got to Shelton to when he left was just so drastic, and what Coach Eatman did with him off the court and Root's buy-in and stuff like that, for sure is if he ends up making it to the NBA, it's going to have a lot to do with that year at Shelton State, I think.
For sure. Yeah, I know you got some news. We can save it for the end of the show, make people kind of stay tuned in. We can do it now. We got about 15 minutes before we bring Coach Black in. You let the people know what you want to do, man.
You said we got 15 minutes. Let's just do it. I'm gonna drop top 10 2021 JUCO players because I'm a masochist apparently, and I like getting yelled at. I don't know.
Most people know what that word is.
Yeah. It means I'm inviting the pain, bring the pain. But I will say this with some caveats to this list. Okay. Division I transfers are not on this list. We haven't seen them play yet. You know, I've watched a lot of scrimmages. Some of them you would call basketball. Some of them you would call something else.
Yeah.
I'm sure their coaches have called them whatever it was, a number of things. So, you know, I know there are Division I transfers out there that are going to be absolute super studs this year, but this is really kind of, you know, focusing on, 10 guys in some order, you know, that I think did an incredible job last year. And if you're not on this list, it doesn't mean you didn't do an incredible job. Okay. And some of the guys that have committed early, to some big time programs.
Yep.
There's a couple little sleeper guys in here that maybe some people don't know as well, but I may live in Colorado, but I watch the entire country. So, anyways, so I'm gonna go backwards. Oh, you know what? I do have one guy that I said before I wanted to talk about that is not on the list as far as like top 10 ready to go right now guys, but he may end up being the best player in the country from this group 3 years from now. And that's Jamarian Sharp at John A. Logan. Jamarian is, he's 7'1", 7'2", something like that. He can handle it. He can shoot it. He has a long ways to go, and he I'm sure will be the first to admit that. As far as learning the game and, really refining his skill set and things like that. But what he can do at his size is pretty special. And so I think Jamarian Sharp is a name that as he develops those things, he's going to be something else. I know he works really hard. He's put on a lot of weight, muscle weight, good weight this summer here. And in a time that was really difficult to do that. So I think that's a testament to the work that he's done. And I know Coach Smith Peters will just rave about him all day long. So Jamarian Sharp, not on the list right now, but someone to absolutely be watching out for. So, anyways, number 10 on the list, I've got Suleiman Doumbia. Juco top Juco players list being announced. Oh my God. Suleiman is signed to TCU. A guy that is a lot of upside right now, as opposed to just pure like ready to go, but a kid that works really hard, that has an incredible amount of upside, has a ton of physical gifts, things like that I think he's going to be special. And remember, everybody on this list this year doesn't count. So that extra year, with 3 to play for junior college guys is a pretty big deal. I'm going to rip through this a little faster, but Dalton Necht I have at number 9 from Northeastern. That's probably a name that not a ton of guys know. Just signed with Northern Colorado. 6'7", shoots the mess out of it. And is really athletic and somebody that I think has a lot of tools that translate to an extraordinarily high level of basketball. Got Akal Mawian, who is going to Arkansas at number 8 on here. And a lot like Suleiman, it's, there's a lot of upside there, things that he's growing into, working into, and learning the game and things like that. But I've got Josh Baker at number 7. Josh I want to see Dalton Necht and Josh Baker get in a 3-point shooting contest. Like if we find a way to do that, find them in the same place somewhere, I'm just going to film that because it would be incredible. Got Matt McFarland from Colby at number 6. Again, a kind of a not out of the way area. I mean, they're in the Jayhawk, but the coach has done a heck of a job at Colby, and Rusty just, he's had some high level players there with Sharp last year, probably being kind of the name that everybody knows. And now Matt McFarland is kind of the next up and comer as far as a big time player. Number 5, I've got L. Ellis going to Louisville. L is one of the top guards in the country, and he's going to have an opportunity at Louisville to show everybody just exactly how good he is. The opportunity is going to be there for him from a minute standpoint for sure. And so you're gonna see a junior college guy playing every night at the highest levels of college basketball. So that's going to be exciting to watch. I've got Deshaun Davis at number 4, headed up to Oregon State. Again, another high-level guard. somebody that I think has a very, very high ceiling, and again made a choice to a school where he's going to get a huge amount of opportunity to play. Number 3, I've got Rivaldo Suarez from South Plains, who I compared to Danny Green, and he didn't like that. But he's again one of the best shooters out there. He is more than just a jump shooter. As he told me, he creates his own shot, and I agree. He does create his own shot very well. And as he continues to work on that and develop that and things, maybe he won't be more like Danny Green. Maybe he'll be more like somebody else. But, one of the best players in the country. He's a great kid. He works really, really hard. And somebody I'm really excited to watch this year. Number 2, we've got Chris Payton from Indian Hills. And kind of if you like hard work and you like guys that just, want to hit you in the face and dunk on you and play defense and, do all of the things that, he has all these great highlights, but some of the things that he does best don't show up on a highlight reel. And it's sheer amount of work ethic and toughness and all of the things that we love about junior college players. And wherever he ends up, it's going to translate right away because it's something that's inside of him that makes him special. And for me, the number 1 player in the country this year, and I don't know if this is going to change. Honestly, he might go wire to wire as far as for me, the number 1 player in the country is Sidney Curry from John A. Logan. He is. So I don't know if I've seen anybody in the time that I've been doing this that is as physical and as gifted athletically with size like that as Sidney Curry is. I mean, he is 6'8", 250 pounds of granite with an unbelievable athleticism. We talk about like big time athletes, and there's some guys on this list and some guys that aren't on this list that, you could say, are maybe the best athlete in junior college. But I think pound for pound, it's Sidney Curry because of the pounds that he has and the things that he's able to do with them, as smooth as he is, when he catches even just a little bit outside the paint. And, he's got great touch and great feel and things like that. So really excited to watch him develop his game and just use that strength and raw, physicality and things like that. Again, somebody that most of the things that he does are going to translate immediately to the next level, whether he chooses Kansas or Texas A&M or somebody else that comes in the mix for him. So there you go. Everybody can yell at me about why I'm wrong.
So we got Woj bomb is normally when Woj does it. What's the Juco advocate Brandon Goble bomb? What do we call that?
I don't know. the G bomb.
The G bomb. All right, we'll take that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll come up with something.
We'll warm up to it. We'll take some input.
Yeah. I'm not a newsbreaker. That's not my thing. Like I'm kind of like whatever. I leave that to Nathan with verbal commits. He does an incredible job. I don't know if a lot of people know this. I tell people when we talk about it, but everybody sees verbal commits, and between D1, D2, there's 100,000 social media followers, millions of independent users on the website, hundreds of millions of hits on the website every year. And that is all operated by one guy. Wow. And that's Nathan LeClaire. So every time you see a tweet go out and things like that, that's Nathan pounding away on that Chromebook that he's got. And, whenever we're off together doing stuff or whatever, and he's got that thing out and he's just hammering out tweets. He's like, hang on, I got 9 offers I got to put out. And 45 seconds later, he's ready to go. I'm like, I don't even know how you keep up with this. You're a robot. So shout out Nathan LeClaire and Verbal Commits.
Big shout out Verbal Commits. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show. Tell us about how you came up with your top 10. Obviously, you dropped the bomb, the Juco advocate bomb. So let's talk about how you came up with that top 10. And obviously, you'll probably be getting some texts all day long about.
I'm sure. It's not just me. I talked to probably 20 people about this list, including coaches and other scouts and things like that. And these lists are funny because they're a living, breathing thing. I don't usually get into rankings. They don't mean a ton for me, but I do, especially right now where we don't have games going on and things like that. I kind of, we're gonna end up eventually doing a top 100 through some other stuff that we'll talk about maybe in some later shows as we get closer to some deployment of some things we've been working on for a couple years now. But it's I think right now it's fun, and it's something for us to talk about, and it draws some attention to some great kids that are playing great basketball and have put in a ton of work. And we'll talk more about other kids that aren't on that list, because there are this might be one of the best classes of JUCO guys in a long time. And what makes it extra special this year is this year doesn't count.
Yep.
So, you're talking about a guy like, take Suleiman, right? So Suleiman has an incredible backstory.
Yep.
and he has a lot of things to learn. But imagine, I always say that now that like the difference between 3 years and 4 years is nothing, right? Like that in the transfer world and all that, 3 years, 4 years, don't really care. There's no difference between that. So you're looking at a guy like Suleiman Doumbia now, might as well be a high school player because he has 3 years to play. But he's 7 feet tall. He's got a wingspan the size of Texas, and he has 3 years to play. Like, imagine walking into an AAU gym and seeing a guy that looks like that. And by the way, he'll end up having 2 years of college experience under his belt.
Right.
Like, that's pretty special. One of the knocks on JUCO guys has always been like catching them up once they get there and they've only got 2 years to play and 3 years to play. Forget it.
Yeah. And Bucket touched on it too. He said that, he thinks this year will be one of the best years of JUCO play as well, just from a team standpoint, because of having more time. Normally, the Jamboree season kicks off right in October 1st. Jamborees are happening. You've barely started practice, you barely started school, and you're already trying to get in competition. So the fact you've gotten so much more time, and you're talking about the level of talent, and guys get another year, it's definitely a really compelling year in JUCO basketball. We got another guest that we're going to bring on. We got about 30 seconds. We got another quick 30-second timeout, and we'll come back with one of the other JUCO GOATs out there kind of representing the South. So we'll touch on that as soon as we get back. Way back. What up? JUCOReport.com.
There he is.
How y'all doing?
Yeah, good to see you, man. Another member of Embrace Us. We repping today.
Oh man, blessed to be here. Y'all doing all right?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So
hey, we were talking about Solomon earlier. Corey was one of the first people that on the planet that I hit up. Is I'm on social media under, I don't even remember what that account was at the time, and I was like, I got this kid, and he's at Midland, and Corey's like, why is he 24? Like, he's in the Air Force. He's like, all right, let me see what we can do. So I know.
What a great story.
I know some of that love that Solomon got from the offers and things like that definitely was straight from the work of Corey Black. So
Corey, real quick, tell people not everybody knows who you are. They sleep if they don't know who you are. So for those that don't know who you are, tell the people who you are and what you do.
Well, if you don't know me, as long as you know Brandon Goble, you're fine. No, but I got in the JUCO game probably about 10 years ago. I came out, coached at Columbus State Division II for about 6 years, and I got out of it. First I realized coaching college basketball, you could get fired. Nobody told me this part when I got into coaching college basketball.
I love it.
I say, let me figure something else out here. So I got into the education business, and I wanted to help more kids at the same time. Instead of just recruiting 12 kids to come play Division II basketball, we was pretty good at it, but we hit a bump there. I said, this may not go over well. Let me go try to help more kids and find something to do. So that's when I started all
my CB hoops. Started doing junior college jamborees. So when I started this jamboree stuff about 12 years ago, it was really you had Ken Littlefield, he was rocking and rolling, and you had Jerry Mullins, and so I feel like it was still another hole out there to do more jamborees. So I started doing jamborees here in Columbus, and I went to Atlanta, started doing jamborees. My first jamboree had 6 teams in it, and people looked at us and said, "Corey, you crazy? What are you doing? You left Columbus State to go run a JUCO jamboree with 6 teams?" So I'm gonna go try to catch Jerry Mullins. Them, I think we could pull that off in the South too. So it got bigger and bigger and grow, and we had our biggest one last year. We had about 98 teams in it. That's what I've been doing.
98. Is that what I heard right? From 6 to 98.
Yes, from 6 to 98.
I want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah, we added women's to it because when nobody doing women jamborees, so I picked it up and added the women's to the Lake Point event, and we got it to about 98 teams. And I probably about 6 years ago, I connected with Chris Watkins. He was doing some showcase events, and we partnered up to start the JUCO report. And we just do events together, JUCO jamborees, showcase events, just try to help kids. Me and both Chris, we're both educators, so we the part-time JUCO guys. We don't get to do it full-time. I don't even know them guys. Brandon just named. He just told me 10 new names, the 10 best players in the JUCO. So I wrote them all down here. So I can call him back later and talk to him about it. That's what happened with a part-time JUCO guy, and that bell rang every morning at 8 o'clock. I love it, man. I love it. So that's a little bit about me. Right now, I do part-time JUCO stuff and full-time athletic director, basketball coach here at a private school here in Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome. And the fact you're wearing all those hats, we know you're a big part of Embrace Us too. We touched on that a little bit. You're one of the brains behind how it came about, yourself, Penny Collins. Touch on that a little bit before we kind of move forward back to some JUCO stuff, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it all started with Penny Collins. We had a relationship previous when me and Coach Collins, we connected back when he was a junior college coach at Columbia State. And we connected, developed a relationship. And through the pandemic, we always talked about ideas about how can we embrace everybody and get everybody on the same page and see how can we help more people. That's all Embrace Us is to promote each other and just try to push each other, just make things better. So we started that. We got the idea, and we got blessed with having guys like you on and Brandon on, trusting it and being a part of it. So that's how that all came about.
Yeah, it's we're excited. We talked about it earlier. We had Joe on, and just excited to be able to continue to make change within our industry, within our communities. And Brandon kind of touched on it. You touched on it, just embracing all of us and getting all, people to understand. It takes all of us to do what we really want to do to accomplish it. We all want our love. We all want our respect. So love everything that we're doing with Embrace Us. We got a couple comments. We got Joe back in here.
Joe Eatman. Great guy. Joe had a great story. He just told his story, man. An unbelievable story. What I like about the people in Embrace Us, we all started at the bottom, and we're still trying to get better. Like Brandon, like you said, he DM'd me. How long ago was that, Brandon? Was it 6 years ago?
Yeah, I think 5 years ago.
5 years ago, and he started right there at the bottom, and look at him now, top JUCO scout in the country, without a question. That's not even an argument.
Has it been 5 years now?
Yeah, because it was I think it was 6 when Solly went to Midland and then played a year, and then because I started JUCO Advocate in June of 16. So coming up on 5.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I like about our group. You got people that didn't get the silver spoon that started at the bottom and just grind. That's what I love about our group.
Yeah, talk. You guys are both kind of in a similar space. Talk a little bit about what you love about being able to educate people from that space, from that perspective. Not only just helping kids, talk a little bit about that, but also just how you help the coaches at the next level understand what translates, who can be successful, just the whole nine, providing a ton of opportunities. If you don't mind, both of you guys kind of take turns on that.
You go ahead, Brandon.
It's interesting because people ask me all the time, like, you going to get into coaching? No. No. I know what I'm good at. And that's not it. But what I do think I'm good at because I love it more than anything I've ever done, job wise, career wise, whatever, is hearing people's stories, hearing who they are, matching that up with what they are on the court, but really being able to convey to a coach who this person is. That, Corey knows, we see kids that are really talented, but maybe don't have the other pieces inside of them that make them successful at the next level. And that's what I enjoy digging into, that part, where somebody like Solomon. I mean, I can always go back to Solomon typically, which is so funny that's how this whole thing for me started, because Solomon played like 1 year of high school basketball, or 2 years maybe. And he had all these circumstances to why he didn't continue playing. And then he went into the Air Force for 6 years. He was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Like he's, and then to show up and be like, hey, I have something inside of me that says I can go play in the whack-jack and start after not having played real basketball in like 8 years. That has nothing to do with talent. That has everything to do with drive and who you are. And so being able to convey that to coaches then at the next level of, this is who this is as a person and why they're going to be successful for you has a lot more to do with what I'm telling you right now than what you are going to see on film.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that, he nailed it. Is you gotta know these kids and you gotta know their story. And it's easy to figure out who the best players in the country are, but the tough part is who is the best fit for that best player.
Yep.
And that's what I like about it, is watching, evaluating these kids. But at the same time, you have to take the time to evaluate the college programs too, and know what that program. Know what that coach is about, know what that staff is about. Because you can't help that program if you don't know them. No, you 100%. Can say you got this talented kid, but if he doesn't fit that staff, that head coach, that community, that city, it ain't gonna work. So I think a lot of people miss the boat on that part of researching the programs, watching film on those programs. A lot of people just say, "Oh yeah, he can play for you." Well, how do you know if you never watch?
There are kids that are highly successful for Lou Hill because of the type of basketball that Lou Hill plays, the type of person that Lou Hill is, the type of people that his staff are, right? But even if you just look at it on the court, the type of basketball that he plays, well, some guys that are incredibly successful for him may not be as successful in other spots. Like Jordan Jackson picked the perfect spot for him when he went to play for Lou Hill. Right. And it had to do with the character of people that he was with, but also the type of basketball and stuff like that. Well, Jordan Jackson had the talent to play at all these other places, but that fit was perfect for him.
All about fit.
And he was incredibly successful there.
Yeah, it's all about fit. And but you got to know both sides. You got to know the player and you got to know the program. If you know both, you can match them up. If you don't know one and without the other, it's going to be tough, and it could be another name on that transfer list.
Yeah, man, you want to talk about a year where that list is going to grow.
I'm sure you guys have both had to do some real explaining, and almost like people come back later like, man, you told me about it. It's like, I told you. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys both have some great stories on that. How hard is the evaluation process to be able to kind of figure out whose ability can translate, and from your events, from your watching different games, How do you guys take so much? I mean, you guys are two of the best at it. So I guess the real question is, how are you able to understand Black? Maybe it's from you and your coaching experience. Brandon, we know you haven't coached or played. So what is the eye, and what is it that you're able to communicate to figure out the levels and the fit, and even to help a kid to be able to say, hey, man, if you just do these things and you buy into your coach in this way, because you guys help players as much as you help coaches. So talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
I think it's we're such a microwave society where we see something and that becomes fact, and that's just what everybody goes with. And it's easy to fall into that trap for sure when you're evaluating players, because you see somebody have a great game, you see somebody do something spectacular, and that's a start, right? Like you know that they have that, whatever that is that you just saw, that's in there somewhere. But it's really more than going back and looking at things like, I want to go watch your worst game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's coaches will say, send me their best game, and like, yeah, for sure. I also know I have to play it. I have to play a game here. There's a marketing side to this where if I send a coach their worst game, he's not calling me back, right? But I want to go watch their worst game because I want to go see what happens when they're off and how do they react to it. There was there's players that maybe they're shooters or maybe they're athletes or something, they're bucket getters and all this kind of stuff. What are you doing when you're not making shots? Mm-hmm. How are you acting? How are you talking to your teammates? How are you reacting to your coach? What are the things when you realize, like, guys just figure out about halfway through a game sometimes, like, it just ain't it tonight. Well, now what are you going to do? Can you pass? Are you defending? Are you playing with a motor? Or are you just kind of, moping around like, oh, I can't make a shot tonight? Like, I have no interest in that player, because then when I talk to that coach and that coach takes that kid and they say, man, he had a bad week of practice and now we can't even get him to like focus, whatever, not in the classroom, not on the court, whatever, like, what kind of kid did you send us? And it's really, what are you doing when, when you're not being successful in the true, the typical definition of success, because you can find ways to be successful when you're not at your best, for sure.
No question. And piggybacking off that too, Brian, is we host these jamborees and it's the first of the year.
Yeah.
First games.
Yeah.
They're fired up. You got coaches standing there on the baseline watching, everybody look good in that. And you know what? But in those, that's not really an evaluation. That, the evaluation is when I go back and watch them play a month later when no one's in the gym in Americus, Georgia.
Right.
No one's in the gym in Waycross, Georgia. No one's in the gym in Macon, Georgia. Now you see who that player is.
Yeah.
How you show up to that practice like I did 3 weeks ago at Central Georgia Tech when there's no game to be played till January. Who is this guy now? Is this guy a dog when it ain't a game for 2 more months? That's how that's the real evaluation. The jamborees, it's not really real. There's 100 coaches there. I can go out there and get 30 right now. Put 100 coaches on the baseline right now. I go for 32.
Hey, that adrenaline get going, right, Black?
I
cannot get 30 in a jamboree, just FYI.
You put 100 coaches right there on that baseline, I'm gonna get mine.
What happened?
Evaluation.
What's some of the success stories, Black, that you'd like to share from players, coaches, your own experience? We're trying to make sure we show love to Juco. It's Juco Appreciation Month with us. We just want to make sure people understand this level and the value it really has. Because, again, you kind of hear it when people think about, oh, you got to offer from a Juco. It's like people can downplay that. Or, oh, you got to go Juco. They're not celebrating that the same way. It's not getting the same amount of retweets and likes, which is okay. But we want to make sure people really understand what this level is about and why it's important.
It's like I always tell people, and I don't know where it came from, but I always quote it. The same people that laugh at you for signing Juco will be the same people celebrating you in 2 years when you're signing Division I, or maybe when you get drafted on NBA night. Right. It's amazing, I bet, how many people laughing at what's the name got drafted the other night?
Jaden Scrub.
That's great. It's no telling how many people was laughing at him when he went Juco. But now, oh man, look at him. He look the same people that laugh at you for Juco will be the same people fired up for you when you go to that next level. I know I got one good story. I was at a jamboree and it all connects us to embrace us. Remember Brian Collins having an event. Kid name was TJ Cromer. He played at Eastern Florida. Left Eastern Florida, came to my event, Availables event. Nobody knew about him. Nobody. Coach Collins was there. TJ Cromer coming there, lit it up. Coach Collins, he comes in and says, I want that kid. TJ Cromer from my hometown. Say, TJ, here's another opportunity, man. You got another shot. Good Lord, then bless you. Coach Collins takes him. He goes get on the team at Columbia State with Penny Collins. TJ Dunn had a really good team. They go to the national tournament. TJ Cromer signs with ETSU. Penny Collins got hired. He got a job. You know, all that stuff just started connecting. You know, Coach Collins said, I wanna get to the next level. Well, you know, you do it the right way. You take care of your players. Someone to give you opportunity. And look at it now. TJ Cromer making really good money overseas. Coach Collins, a head coach at Tennessee State. So all that stuff connected the dots, and that's just a little quick story of how one kid from my event led him to Columbia State, to the national tournament, to him getting Division I, to Coach Collins getting a Division I opportunity, and to now being the head coach at Columbia State, and that kid is making money overseas.
The diversity of stories that junior college affords, I don't know if there's anything else like it in sports, in a lot of different walks of life. You know, my deal with there with Solomon and like how unique that story is, and a guy like Corey Black, you know, sees him and helps, and, you know, guys jump in to help these kinds of different stories. There's a kid, you know, I was talking about Lou Hill earlier, and I you know, we've talked about domestically, you know, inner cities, especially like the kids that get opportunities that maybe wouldn't because of junior college. Internationally, like, you know, I go all over the world and meet all these kids and you know, the junior college stuff and whatever. But you know, there was a kid named Rob McLean who is now at UTRGV. Yep. And I think I think I remember his tribe correctly, so I apologize if I don't, but I believe he's Cree. And he's from Red Lake, Minnesota, I think, up in the north, near the Canadian border. And you know, he's from the reservation up there, and you know, not a place that coaches are typically looking for basketball players. In United Tribes Tech in North Dakota, you know, he was looking at maybe a D3 school or something like that, and he wasn't sure, and there was some cost stuff and whatever, and so. He goes to United Tribes Tech, which is, I believe, 100% tribal school, and you know, plays up there with Williston and Lake Region and North Dakota Sciences, and is doing really well. Shout out to Synergy for having United Tribes Tech on their platform, so that we could see him. And you know, all of a sudden, coaches are starting to go to North Dakota, and some of these poor guys that went up there, you know, to go see him, and some of the little places they went to go see him, like Glendive, Montana against Dawson. And you know, that kid is a really good player at UTRGV, and you know, will maybe start this year for them. And like thinking about all of the things that have to go into that process for him to wind up where he's at, all the work he had to put in. You know, he was always one that stood out on film. I called him the flying pineapple because he liked to put his hair up in a top knot and it would flare out like this. I mean, you talk about a kid with athleticism, holy cow. And, but you know, from where he came from to where he is now, none of that happens without junior college. There's no Rob McLean, basketball player at UTRGV with all the opportunities he's taken advantage of, all the opportunities that are ahead of him now, without junior college. And there's so many of these guys that you know, Corey and I have seen over the years that just these incredibly diverse backgrounds. I mean, gosh, Corey, think about the guys that we know that are from war zones, right? Yeah. That, you know, kids that are from, you know, just these really difficult backgrounds that junior college gives them this opportunity to be successful. And if they take advantage of it, your past maybe affects you in a positive way, but you take advantage of that opportunity. There is no, like, your past is not an anchor to what you can be with junior college.
No question about it. Juco is the reason I'm sitting here. I took a Juco opportunity out of high school, not to even play, but to coach. It's no other college program will let a high school 17-year-old kid go start coaching Juco basketball. That don't happen. But in Juco, it's possible.
Nope. I think you guys have a really unique and awesome relationship, right? So many times in this space, whether it's high school, whether it's Juco, whatever it is, it's competitive. So guys like yourselves are not willing to work together, help each other. But the thing I love about both of you, and I'm biased, but I don't mind saying it, is that, you know, you guys are really about helping the kids, you know, and I think I'm not taking anything away from anyone else with what they do, but uniquely, I think that, you know, again, your name, Brandon, when you first started as Juco advocate, being an advocate for Juco, right? And I think that name and that brand has just grown so much, and credit to you. And then Corey, with what you're doing with Juco Report, but for you guys to actually like each other, text each other, help kids, you know what I mean? I just think I've been in a couple group texts. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer, but I've been in group texts with you guys, and the first time I got one, I was like, man, these guys are actually cool. Like, this is a cool thing. So that doesn't happen often. So talk about that if you don't mind.
Well, I think, Brian, you know, it's simple. We don't have ego issues. We're not doing this for money. It's about the kids. I think we're out here to help and serve the kids. And as long as you can keep that mindset, you can have relationships in this business, because it's about kids. As long as you keep it about the kids, we're all out here. You're supposed to be helping kids. So it's going to Brandon event or my event. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's about the kids, and it's about finding them opportunity to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, there's when you keep it simple about like why you started doing what you do, the rest of it kind of figures itself out. You know, if you stay focused on your why, that the rest of it really figured itself out. I mean, the number of times that I've said, "Hey, call Corey Black," you know, about somebody will call me and ask about a player, and I say, "I've seen him here, I've seen him there. This is what I think." But you know who's seen him a lot? Coach Black. Call Corey. He'll fill you in. He'll take care of you. You know, whatever. It's like, yeah. If you focus on your why, I know that the rest of it will kind of figure itself out. And you know, we try and be as creative as we can in different avenues of this business and working on different things. And I know at any moment, if I need to ask a question or get some information or something, I can pick up the phone and call Coach Black. And because he focuses on his why he do what he does.
It's very, I know it sounds simple, Brian, but it really is when the focus is what it's supposed to be on. And like, I got a lot of respect for Brandon. I'm amazed at what he's doing. Happy he is in this space, because it's much needed. So it's a respect thing too. I respect him, and I love what he do. So it's all about respect, and he's about the kids. You know, everything else will follow.
Appreciate you, my friend.
My pleasure. You muted, Brian.
Trying to make sure I stay out the way, man. That's my isolation method, man. So yeah, I know we got a few more minutes with you. You got to get back to the bell ringing and all that good stuff, man. Any closing words you got about Juco, about, you know, anything that you want to share with just kind of the people that listen? We appreciate having you on so much, man. Been awesome.
Oh man, I appreciate y'all having me. What a blessing to be here with you two guys. I just want everybody to remember, man, it's a level for everybody. Especially in the times that we got going on now, especially with the new recruiting rules, the everybody getting a year. It's gonna be some really, really good junior college basketball programs coming up. And what I want people to do is do their research on Juco. Go watch them practice. Go watch them play. Don't take Juco for granted. Go out there and just get as much knowledge as you can for Juco, because you're gonna be blowing up these Jucos with these new rules. Trust me on that. And if there's anything I can do to help you, please just reach out. I appreciate you guys for having me. Anything I can do to help you, please just let me know.
Yeah, thanks so much, T Black. Real quick before we leave, how can people find you? How can people kind of know how to follow you, go to your events, follow you on social media, follow you on whatever ways they may be to connect with you?
Yeah, they can follow me on Twitter, Coach C Black, Instagram, Coach C Black, Corey Black on Facebook, JucoReport.com, CBlackHoops.com. Those are the best ways to get in contact with me.
Yeah, you got a few of them. You got a few of them doing big things, man. Love you, my man. Love you, brother. Glad you came on today. Have a great weekend, and we'll be talking soon.
All right, we'll see y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Be good, Coach.
See ya.
BG, 15 minutes left, man. Awesome to have our JUCO guys on. I think it was only right to get some diversity in the first show, but yeah, man, we'll take it from wherever you want to go from here. I know you're dropping JUCO advocate bombs as far as top 10 list. So what else you got for us?
I don't know if I want to read my DMs. You know, I want to talk about a special player for 2 minutes, because we're talking about different opportunities and different things that junior college affords. Kid named Langston Wilson, that probably a lot of people watching this know his name now, because I don't know how many offers he had this year, but it was bonkers. And so, you know, unfortunately we didn't get to do J48 this summer because of COVID. And so I was looking forward to really getting to know him. He seems like a fantastic kid. But I remember back in February, probably January, February last year, was texting with him. And I kind of knew his story. You know, didn't really get to play high school basketball because of some health issues and things. And so he's got this incredible story where junior college, if it weren't for junior college, nobody would have any idea who Langston Wilson is. Like, think about that. Without junior college, a kid that ended up with probably 40 Division I offers, nobody would have ever heard of,
right?
You know, without junior college. And I remember texting with him, and he said, you know, do you think I will get some offers? You know, I didn't really play high school basketball. I think he described himself as a street hooper.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know if that's gonna whatever. And I just said, hey, just keep doing your thing, man. Like, just keep working hard, and you know, it'll play itself out. And sure enough, it did. And because he, you know, what he did at Highlands in Georgia Highlands in his first year of junior college, and, you know, the work and the character and the things like that make him who he is. And, you know, now he's signed to Alabama, you know, for a guy that in January was going, you know, I don't know, do you think people are going to like me or not?
Right.
And,
Right.
You know, I'm a street hooper, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go sign in the SEC. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So, you know, just the opportunities that junior college provides is just so incredibly special, because we get to hear stories like Langston. We get to hear stories like Suleiman Doumbia. We get to hear, you know, the Gideon George. Like, if there wasn't junior college, I could go to Nigeria, but there's nothing I could do for Gideon George if we don't have junior college. So.
Yeah. And that story kind of sounds a lot like Jimmy Butler's story, right? He no real recruitment coming out of high school, goes to Tyler Junior College. Next thing you know, he's kind of getting blown up by everyone and can kind of write a ticket a little bit, and then chooses to go to Marquette. We obviously see the rest is history on how that worked out. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and we'll just end the show and talk a little bit about some of these JUCO guys that have gone on and done big things at the next level. See if
I got a text from Cole Dewey while we were doing this, talking to Bucket. He sends me this little grainy picture, and he says, "You got to make sure you add him on the list." And I actually didn't have him on the list I have for some reason. Craig Elo went to Odessa.
Oh, yeah, he's on here.
I didn't have him on the NJCAA list that I got. So I'll have
as far as Craig Elo going to NBA, being a JUCO guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know. So that makes. I mean, you got Larry Johnson. I think Odessa's got 4 or 5.
And
went to Odessa, played in the
new head coach, former head coach at Otero.
Yeah.
New head coach at Garden City, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. Garden City. Yep.
And shout out to Ted Crass, new head coach, former Abilene Christian assistant NCAA tournament champion as far as going to the league, going to the NCAA tournament from ACU.
Yep.
Him and his staff are the ones that actually created this graphic. So we got to make sure we give shout out to the Otero Rattlers.
I don't know which version this is, but basically, like, every time he would put it out, somebody would be like, "You forgot about this guy."
Exactly.
And he's adding the thing, and all of a sudden it's just, I mean, there's probably still some guys. It's like, it's crazy how many guys, I think from a percentage standpoint, it's probably, there's just the sheer number of players. Like, it's pretty on track with other opportunities. It's just really kind of what guys do with it. I mean, I'm looking at this graphic here. I love this thing so much because there's so many recognizable guys on there. And I will say too, as I've been digging through stuff, guys that are maybe not as recognizable, but had long careers in the NBA. Yep. Guys that you didn't know were JUCO guys, maybe especially some of the older guys and stuff like that. But
yeah, even just going through some of the big names here. Of course, Steven Jackson played in the NBA. He's been on ESPN. Larry Johnson, big time player back in the day. Avery Johnson, Dennis Rodman, Jimmy Butler, Latrell Sprewell, Sam Cassell, Birdman, Sean Kemp, Mookie Blaylock, Vinny Johnson, Nick Van Exel. I mean, Steve Francis, Sean Marion. The list just kind of goes on.
Spud in there.
Yes, Webb's in there. You could keep going, and looking at a couple guys I actually coached on here. Jonathan Simmons, you can kind of see him right above the Raptors 25. He's got that Spurs jersey on from Houston.
Yep.
Him at Paris Junior College and at Midland with Ross Hodge as the head coach. Jonathan's from Houston. And then Coach Marshall Henderson from Dallas, coached him in AU, coached him at University of Utah. He's now a GA at Ole Miss, his alma mater. Shout out to Marshall Henderson. So, yeah, fortunate to coach a couple of these NBA guys. And I think that's the part, again, that just kind of goes so underappreciated about the junior college level. It may be the unconventional path, but, you get to have an immediate impact right away. Sometimes as a freshman, you don't have a chance to make an immediate impact. So some of these guys got to grow, kind of like we talked about. So if I use Jonathan Simmons as an example, he comes in at Paris Junior College and he just didn't know how to be a winning basketball player yet. He had enormous talent, 6'7" wing, could run like a deer, jump out of the gym. I mean, he had everything NBA talent written all over him, but didn't know how to win yet, didn't understand the day-to-day. And next thing you know, his second semester, I mean, he gets to play enormous minutes where if he's at a 4-year, you can get buried on the bench, And then Marshall's got a different story. Marshall actually was the second leading scorer on our team at Utah as a freshman. So he was an elite player as a freshman, chooses to go to junior college after that experience his freshman year, goes to Texas Tech, doesn't work out there, he transfers, then goes to South Plains. They have an undefeated season. He's one of the best players in the country.
One of his teammates is on there, Stanton Kidd, one of the best humans on the planet.
Colorado State.
Yep.
So, yeah, I could go on and on, but I'll let you kind of talk more about these guys. And obviously we have a guy that just got drafted a couple of days ago too. So, yeah.
And I think, that Scrub was the only JUCO guy this year and just happened to be straight from junior college. But, there's going to be some guys next year that have a chance for sure. I mean, as good a chance as anybody. I think if Chris Duarte keeps on the path that he's on, that's somebody that, I'm already talking to NBA guys about, as they kind of
some people who don't follow JUCO, let people know where Chris Duarte is.
Yeah, Chris went to Northwest Florida, National Player of the Year. And he was one of those kids that when you watched him, it was like, yeah, that's the National Player of the Year. Like, you don't have to do a whole lot of comparison shopping there. He's an unbelievable kid. We did a podcast with him. For those that don't know, I also run the Live Period podcast with Thomas Filianco. And so we had him on one day and just kind of talked about his story. Again, another situation where junior college comes in, a kid from the Dominican Republic that was actually a pretty darn good baseball player back in the day, and comes out and goes to JUCO, and he took full advantage of that opportunity, and now he's at Oregon. And he admitted in the interview that, like, when he got there, he was frustrated because he felt like he should be doing this or should be doing that. And he just kind of bought into the work and all that, which is just who he is. He's not the kind of guy that's ever going to be told he can't do something. And you want to talk about figuring it out quickly. And I think that has a huge part of why he will be, one that they have to look at for the NBA next year, because he just gets it and he works hard. And he's a 6'6" 2 guard. So that helps, but he just, that work ethic, that toughness that he developed in junior college, I think he'll say, has a lot to do with why he's successful now. You've got guys like Javion Hamlet, that, a 6'4" point guard, North Texas, Conference USA Athlete of the Year, not Basketball Player of the Year, Athlete of the Year, Male Athlete of the Year in a football conference. That can't happen very often. And, he's got a unique story in junior college and kind of some back and forth and figuring things out and maturing and all that kind of stuff. And so he's another one that, I think it will continue to just grow and continue to, really show up on the national scene for people. And again, when NBA guys call and they say, who are the ones that we have to be looking at, say, look, I know you're not typically looking immediately, especially this early, maybe at the mid-major level, especially as a junior college kid, but you got to take a look at this guy. He's special.
What's amazing about what you just said too is that the two places and two coaches, right? Dana Altman, you just mentioned earlier in the show, former JUCO coach, Duarte's having.
Funny how that works, right?
Right. Great transitional success because they understand each other. They understand what that takes. Grant McCaslin, Ross Hodge, Grant McCaslin, head coach at North Texas, Ross Hodge, associate head coach, both elite JUCO coaches in their time. Now coach Javion Hamlet. And he's also on the radar. Not only did they win a conference championship, but you're talking about potential NBA guys. So,
Ross Hodge is one of the best in the country at being able to recognize early on, who's going to be a dude. Being able to recognize what the makeup of that person is and how that will lead them to success, and then being able to get them done. This is the other thing too, because in my time knowing him and being around him as a coach and stuff, guys like Stanton Kidd, that he when he left NC Central and came to Colorado State, and of course Ross, knowing him from junior college, and then Emmanuel Amagbo, who is right there on the edge of going to the NBA, and maybe he will. Maybe he'll be kind of like Stanton, where he has worked his way up through the pro ranks and got that NBA look. And then Javion Hamlet, down there on kind of a second chance sort of thing, where Javion originally, was being looked at real hard by North Texas and decided to go a different route and wound up there anyways.
Yep.
So it's guys like that, like those coaches that kind of know what the makeup of those kids are and how they're going to be successful with that.
I mentioned Coach Hodge a couple of times during the show. I worked for him in junior college, and I can't say enough about the amazing teacher and He just gets it. Some guys get it, and some guys may not as much, and he gets it all the way around, from the person to the basketball side, from the recruiting side, from the development side, from the psychology side. He's an elite one. He got voted number one assistant coach in Conference USA by the poll by Stadium recently. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Jareem Dowling, who
Jareem is fantastic.
Coach, who was really probably the one who was developing the relationship with Javion. And Javion, I think at one point in time, played for JT Burton. And so, Jareem Dowling's investment into that young man, and kind of like you said, there's a maturation process that happens, and everybody's light bulb clicks at different times. And Javion kind of had to go through some different, bumps in the road or stops or moves, as we all do. And Jareem, to his credit and his character, stayed with him all the way through, and just knew that he believed in him. He knew the kid had ability, and between the powers that be as a staff, they did a great job.
There's not a lot of guys that would have hung in there like Reem did.
No doubt.
I mean, it just. I think by nature there's a lot of ego in coaching, because you kind of have to, like, everything is a competition all day, every day, right? So there's not a lot of guys that would have hung in there and reaped the benefits of having that relationship and understanding that everybody's path is a little different, and don't take offense to whatever, and just really focus on what's important in that process. So
right. So we'll close for today. We'll talk a little bit about thanks everyone for joining in. We'll give a quick shout out to some of the other comments. Ruth Nelson, thanks so much for tuning in. One of the Hall of Fame volleyball coaches out there, for those that don't know. Definitely Google that name. You'll find some great facts. I think my mom made a comment earlier. Got to give a shout out to moms. Moms tuned in and gave some love. Thank you, Mom, for showing some love. Gotta always shout out moms. Got some other comments. Cody Jones, yes, sir. Appreciate you tuning in. I think you've been on 2 or 3 times this week, Cody. So appreciate your love, man. I think we got another 1 or 2. Matt Dykeman, one of the G League assistant coaches. Appreciate the support, man. Great to have you on. Joe Eatman, after he got off, somehow he just kept laughing. He was having a blast. He just kept laughing. So real quick before we kind of close the show, we'll be on every Friday as of now. Every Friday we post on Sundays on our All Access Sports Media Twitter handle. You can see it at the bottom screen, but it's All Access _SM, where you can find kind of the weekly lineup. For some reason, if there's a different time, a different day, you'll find it there. But we'll be pretty consistently found on Friday mornings at the same time. You can also follow at Juco Advocate. You can find updates there if you need to, or myself at Coach Burton 13. And then our YouTube page is All Access Network, where you can find everything from All Access Coaches Corner and Sports Media, kind of all under one roof there. And then don't forget about Rising Coaches. We got to show some love to Rising Coaches, www.risingcoaches.com for their partnership in this whole thing. And then let's talk a little bit about some of the Juco Advocate things, the Live Period podcast, how people can find Juco Advocate things real quick, and then we'll kind of close out the show.
Yeah, we're from social media standpoint, we're on Instagram, Twitter. I've just always found to be a little more communicative. So at Juco Advocate, you can check out at the Live Period. Thomas Villianco from Villianco Hoops and I run the Live Period podcast. We've done 30 something episodes now. So been a lot of fun, a lot of different topics, a lot of different walks of life coming on there. We have some really cool episodes lined up. For sure, check out Verbal Commits at Verbal Commits, verbalcommits.com. Nathan LeClaire does an unbelievable job with that. We've got some super exciting stuff coming down the pike with all that. So super secret squirrel stuff, but gonna be pretty cool. I'm really pumped and excited about that. Got some new media stuff that we're going to be doing, some Juco profiles probably coming up here soon. To really kind of highlight some of these unique stories that we've talked about, and where guys come from and how junior college created this opportunity for them that they maybe otherwise wouldn't have had. And just kind of now we sit back and we see what happens for the next 3-4 months. And, do we get games in? Do we not get games in? Do we, whatever. But I think at the end of the day, when, we've powered through this thing by springtime next year, there will be a distinction, I think, between people that took advantage of some of this time to grow, in who they are and how they approach things. I know myself, I continue to work and have to continue to work on things like finding better ways to deal with stress, right? Like, this is the most stressful time most of us have probably ever been through. And, doing some of that self-reflecting and personal growth and all that sort of stuff. And, from the player's standpoint, who are the guys that say, you know what? Yeah, I can't go do a normal practice, but I can still work out. I can get stronger. I can focus on the little things, stuff like that, or I can go play video games.
Right.
And who's going to make those choices and really distinguish themselves when the world finds its butt again. And we figure out how to proceed forward with some sense of normalcy next year, hopefully.
Right. Yeah, definitely everybody take care of that mental health. I just think it's important. It's always been important. It's something that we've probably ignored for a long time. And even in coaching, we just say, just tough it out or just whatever it may be. But that's such an important topic now. And it's such an important place to invest in all of our mental health and those around you. Just lean in, find out how people are really doing. Because sometimes people aren't going to tell you at first, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm good. It's like, now how are you really doing? And then they may just break down. So don't be afraid to show support to others and definitely keep taking care of ourselves. Special guest, shout out to Buckley Ballman from Odessa, Joe Eatman from Shelton State, and Corey Black from JucoReport.com. Phenomenal first show. Going to be a lot of fun to continue to cover Juco. Will be Juco Appreciation Month the rest of the month. Next month, who knows? We may get into some previews. We don't know what's coming, so it's all kind of
I'll make it up as we go. That's all right.
Make it up as we go. We'll have fun with it, and
we're gonna Juco this thing.
Juco it up. That's the best way to do it, man. So thanks so much again. See you guys next week, and